What came to mind? How do you kind of put this in perspective for us, the news of Ohtani going to the Dodgers?
Well, if you just want to be glib about it and you're talking about someone's relative worth, during the Depression, Babe Ruth signed for $80 million, and somebody said, hey, that's more than the president makes. And the Babe's response was, yeah, but I had a better year than Hoover, which he certainly did. Look, Ohtani, not just historically, but at present, he's a unicorn. I know that word has been thrown around. He's a unicorn, and I can imagine every GM right now rehearsing his response to every other star player and their agents, saying, this is a high tide that does not raise any other boats. It's a unique circumstance because of the duality of his performances, the public fascination with that, and the wherewithal of the franchise that signed him. And it isn't just the monetary aspect. John Heyman put it well just a few moments ago. The whole history of the franchise, the bold-faced names that have been part of that. This is a unique circumstance. Now, good luck making that argument. But that argument is going to be, forget about not getting $70 million. The argument's going to be, this doesn't make a $30 million guy a 40. It doesn't even make a $10 million guy a 15. This stands completely alone. That's going to be the argument. Another thought that occurs to me, and, you know, Joel and John covered almost everything. I'm just adding a few little things here. This is no disrespect intended to the Toronto Blue Jays or their fans. They have a good history. They've won a couple of World Series. They've had contending teams and great players past and present. But baseball has to be sighing or emitting a sigh of relief right now, because had he gone to Toronto, his value, which you guys have been discussing, to the sport overall would have been greatly diminished, greatly diminished. Here, it's amplified because he signed with the Dodgers.
Hey, Bob, I want to ask you from a global sports perspective, and I'm not talking just baseball. You've covered every sport out there for a number of years. You've met every star player on the planet. Where does this guy land? Like, we're talking about Ali, we're talking about LeBron, we're talking about Jordan, we're talking about, I mean, this contract puts him above all of them in that respect, but I'm looking internationally, his fame, everything else. Where can he go with this?
Potentially, if not already, bigger than any baseball player. With all due respect to all the other greats, these are unique circumstances. As big globally as Ali, nobody was. There was a time when you could make a good case that Muhammad Ali was the most famous person on the planet. And there was a time when that was probably also true of Jordan, because even as baseball expands its popularity globally, and that's been really true over the past generation, big plus for baseball, it is not the same thing globally yet as basketball. And while I'm not much of a soccer guy, so I don't have a deep grasp of this, I know that the biggest soccer stars, from Pele on to more recent soccer stars, football to the rest of the world, those people numerically probably have more fans than any baseball player can have. But Ohtani is somewhere on that list. And for baseball right now, he's very much at the top of that list.
And Bob, just piggybacking on what Harold was talking about, there is a mystique to Shohei Ohtani that in this day of we know everything about everyone is uniquely him, right?
Yep.
And that it's different than Ali and Jordan. So I think his mystique and what we know seemingly so little about him only adds to this, you know, to his aura, if you will.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It differentiates him from almost everybody else, as does his double-barreled stardom as both a pitcher and a hitter. Here's a secondary point, very much secondary. We don't have to worry about the Dodgers. They're a very well-heeled franchise, and as Joel said earlier, a good portion of the money is going to be deferred for luxury cap purposes and overall payroll perspective for the next few years, to give them some kind of flexibility as they continue to improve their team, which is already pretty formidable when you think about Ohtani and 25 being added to their rotation, Walker Buehler and some of the other pitchers who were injured last year coming back. This is a very, very formidable team. But just as a side note, now that Ohtani will be their DH, they don't re-sign J.D. Martinez, so that large number comes off the books. And Kershaw probably only for one more year, and that number comes off the books. So that kind of mitigates it a little bit.
Hey, Bob, we'll get you out of here on this one. If I were to give you the Dodgers or the field to win the World Series in 2024, who are you taking?
I would take the field in the present circumstances and format against any team, including a combination of the 1927 Yankees and the Gas House Gang Cardinals and the 98 Yankees and the Mariners who won 116. And I would take the field against anybody because it is such a gauntlet to run. And just ask the Braves and the Dodgers of the last two seasons when they couldn't even get past the division series either time. Give me the field.
You got it.
So Shohei Ohtani says yes to the Dodgers. And all we're focused on is 10 years, $700 million. We're like, of course the Dodgers can afford that. Who else can afford that? You know what? Then we learn yesterday that Ohtani is going to get $700 million from the Los Angeles Dodgers, but not over the first 10 years of this contract. Wow. As a matter of fact, he's only going to get $20 million from the Los Angeles Dodgers over this contract. For 10 years. He's going to get $20 million over the first decade of this contract. What do you mean, Rich? It's only a 10-year contract. Well, he's deferring $68 million a year in the 10 years after this contract. So we're all talking about, isn't this amazing how the New York Mets are paying Bobby Bonilla $1 million every single year because he deferred all this money? And then we take a look at what the lowest paid players on the Mets are like and how Bonilla is making more than some of these players. And Well, Bobby Bo has looked at Ohtani, who's looking at Bobby Bo saying, hold my, Asahi? Is that what it is?
Sake bomb? I don't know.
I cannot believe it.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
And so everybody's out there saying, how is this legal? Because what this does is it keeps the Dodgers below the luxury tax threshold in a way that allows them to feel more free to get more players and maybe pitchers, or say this fella Yamamoto, who's apparently here in Los Angeles meeting with a whole bunch of teams to see if he can bring a potential Cy Young talent to the mound. And what better way to tell Dodger fans we understand we need pitching than by pairing Ohtani with Yamamoto and figuring out maybe a year from now it'll be Ohtani and Yamamoto 1-2 in their rotation. And you're like, how is this legal? How is Major League Baseball going to allow one of the richest teams on planet Earth to pay Ohtani $2 million a year like he's a middle infielder who plays 3 times a week?
Right.
And then later on, it'll be $68 million a year from 2034 all the way to 2043. As I said on my Twitter feed yesterday, the rest of the Dodgers of those years will be paid like the Las Vegas Athletics.
That's crazy, man. You ain't promised those years.
And the answer to your question, if you say there's no way Major League Baseball is going to allow this, right? There's no chance this is legal. The answer to that is it sure is legal. And Jeff Passan of ESPN tweeted out the specific article in the collective bargaining agreement that reads, quote, it's Article XVI. Don't worry, we don't let you have to do the Roman numerals. It's Article 16.
Hey.
There shall be no limitations on either the amount of deferred compensation or the percentage of total compensation attributable to deferred compensation for which a uniform player's contract may provide. In other words,
what's that mean, Rich?
You can go and do what the Dodgers just did. And you could sit here and go, well, why would they allow that? Why would they write a rule that allows the Dodgers to do that? Because nobody in their right mind ever thought a player would ever say, keep your $680 million for the moment. Mm-hmm. I'll take it when I turn 48. I'll just take $2 million a year right now and know that when I join your organization, my off-the-field opportunities and dollars coming in will be so insane I'm not going to be at all
Gonna be hurting.
struggling for my next meal.
That's a very good point, too, I guess.
Hello.
They never thought in a million years a player would ever say that. And sure enough, I'd love to know. And that's one of the questions I'm going to ask Verducci. Does he know who is the one who broached the subject? Did Ohtani basically say, I'll just take, how does $2 million a year sound? Or did the Dodgers broach the subject and say, how much money can we defer because we'd like to avoid paying the Baltimore Orioles money because we're aggressive enough to get you? And they're not going to take our money and put it into their players. They're going to line the Angelos mint with it. We don't want to do that. So how much money are you willing to defer? And did Ohtani then basically say, how does,
90% of it
90% of it sound to you? How about almost all of it? Yeah. How do you want to try that one on for size? And how do you think the Angels must be like, was this a possibility this entire time? Because we'd have been able to pay you that way a long time ago. Like when did you decide to cough up $68 of $70 million a year right now so we could pay you later on? And by the way, I'm hearing, I'm seeing as well, they're deferring a ton of money to Mookie and Freddie Freeman too.
Yep.
Because Mookie apparently has a residence in Tennessee where there's no state tax. And Freddie Freeman apparently has one in Florida, I guess, where there's no state tax. And Ohtani will be like, I'll be in Japan collecting $68 million a year. So, hey, Gavin Newsom, see ya. Not paying your taxes, except $2 million.
Yeah, you could have that.
Mitchell Schwartz with the tweet of the day. Our favorite member of the tribe, Chiefs. Former Chief offensive lineman who lives out here. The biggest Ohtani question is how he's going to live in Los Angeles on only $2 million a year. Good real estate joke. Good real estate joke.
Taxes too, right? So you got to take taxes out. So what's he getting, Chris? Like
half,
1.3, 1.4?
Whatever.
1.2 maybe.
Dude, Cooper and I, we talked about it the other day because when we went to an Angels game, last September, and there were Ohtani advertisements all over the stadium to the point where they were even advertising Japan's favorite cat food.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then Ohtani had nothing to do with that, I don't imagine. But Ohtani's cologne, Ohtani's this, Ohtani's that is all over. What do you don't think it won't be all over the stadium? Hey, Ohtani, defer 90% of your salary. You want a billboard out there in left field for your cologne?
Yeah, the reports are he makes almost $50 million in endorsements.
What does he need it? You keep it, L.A. Yeah, there it is.
Get us some better players.
That's coming to Chavez Ravine, everybody. Kosei. Smell like Ohtani.
Does that mean you smell like money? Because if so, I'm in it.
There it is, Chiru. Japan's #1 cat treat. Is that coming to Chavez Ravine?
You better believe it.
Here it is.